Hey everyone, it's Yggdrasiel, and I hope you are all doing incredibly well. We are here today to discuss the Game Awards and specifically their nominations. Now, the Game Awards is going to be out on December 7, a little bit over a week from today. And I know that it's a little bit too late. The nominations have been out for about 2 weeks now, but hey, I want to share my thoughts on these nominations. Better late than never, and the player's voice is also now here as well, so we can discuss that as well too, so it works out. Now, before we begin, just two quick things I want to bring up. First, I want to thank you all so very much for 500 subs. This is the first video I've made since we've hit that goal, and I'm truly thankful for it. I really am. I never thought I would get anywhere close to this amount on my channel. This is just a pure for fun channel, so thank you very much for sticking with me for this. I know that content has been a bit slow, which is the second point I want to bring up. Some of you may have seen on my posts, but if not, I just want to let you know that I bought a house. I'm a homeowner now, but the remodeling effort is taking a good bit of time, specifically time away from me, my free time that I use to make these videos, and so I dearly apologize. Outside of stream time that I use to play most of the games myself, I rarely have any free time right now, let alone free time to make videos. So hopefully, once that's all done and I'm settled in, we'll have more content to make, including maybe a 500 sub thank you video. I don't know what to do yet. We'll figure it out. But anyway, it's the Game Awards time. It's one of the best times of the year for gaming because, you know, they just come out with all these bombastic new announcements. I think last year's was good, but the one thing I'm always picky about, and I know many of you are the nominations themselves. Many of you feel that we tend to end up with a cluster of very excellent games that just always gets the attention, while other games that they do deserve their nominations, they won't often get them. Case in point, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 for OST, best soundtrack of last year. I'm still very bitter about that, and I'm not going to stop being bitter about that, but we're talking about this year's nominations. Let's dive right in. Now, one more thing before we finally begin voting, I do just want to say, however, I've obviously not played through all of these games, and I'm just not interested in specific categories. I'm sorry, I'm not an esports or VTuber fan or whichever one of these random nominations there are. So that being said, there are just going to be a few I'm going to skip. Please don't take it personally. And as for games that I've obviously just not played, I am not going to try and dismiss them outright. Instead, I'm going to use other people's opinions on what they've told me about the game, footage I may have seen. I probably have. I know for sure, for example, I've seen Resident Evil 4 footage through my friends. So we'll try and leave an unbiased opinion out of this. So, Game of the Year. We have Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Super Mario Wonder, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I'm actually thinking about Nishquick right now because he always makes the predictions for the Game Awards, and he was just one off. Now, first up, I'm just straight up going to say I do not believe that it should go to Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I think while that game was a bit innovative, and I really appreciate the engine in that game, the amount of build-up that it's accumulated from Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom is great. I still don't feel like they've done enough in that game to warrant Game of the Year. A lot of, and I know people are going to complain if it's like, oh, acid reuse. Yeah, but it's acid reuse. But I mean, I'm trying to think, like, for example, combat is exactly the same. Mob variety, there's a good bit more, but I mean, come on, really, it's mostly the same. The way you interact, the way quests work, 99% of this is all exactly the same as Breath of the Wild. It was a great game, don't get me wrong, but lackluster story, again. It could have used more innovation in combat. I did appreciate building my own things, but that's really what it has going for it, as well as, of course, seamless transitions between sky, land, and depths. Really a big technical marvel, but I don't think it's Game of the Year nominee worthy. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, a little bit late in this, but, you know, as I've been playing through Super Mario Bros. Wonder, I can sort of see why they would put it here. It's a very fresh take on the Mario side-scroller series, but I don't think it's Game of the Year. Alan Wake 2 is unfortunately one of those games I have not played or seen footage of. I've heard fantastic things about it, so I'm gonna unfortunately have to leave it out just because, again, I don't know what it's about, so I'm very sorry. Spider-Man 2, I've seen all of the conflicting arguments around that game. I think it looks fantastic. I think it plays fantastic. There's plenty of things to do, but maybe not enough time to go about and do it in the breadth of the stories from what I've been told. But I mean, it's a beautiful game though. I really want to play that at some point. And then of course, you know it, I know it, we all know it. It's going to be Baldur's Gate 3. We all, come on. It is a dream game by Larian Studios. The company went about and did a phenomenal job with reaching out to players for feedback. They had a very strong feedback loop that went into iterating the game over and over until it was ready to release, and it was a glorious release. That being said, I do have my own reservations about the game. I particularly think in the categories coming up, there's just some that it does not deserve to win. Of course, we all know that this game is going to end up becoming the God of War of this year's nominations. And as much as I would like to hope for otherwise, I certainly hope other games get the spotlight, but I just feel that Baldur's Gate 3 is going to win Game of the Year and take a lot more titles home. So we'll go Baldur's Gate 3. I do think it does deserve, out of this group, the Game of the Year category. Next up, Best Game Direction: Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Tears of the Kingdom. This one I am pretty on the fence. Again, I did mention the iterations that Tears of the Kingdom had, but I don't think it had quite enough. Meanwhile, Super Mario Bros. Wonder is a delight. Every level feels unique, it feels fresh, there's something new to go about in there. It's not simply just side-scrolling with the same old mobs. There's new ways to go about it. There's new power-ups and new ways to use them. The badge system is very nice. It helps to diversify gameplay just a little bit, tackle puzzles a little bit differently. And I just gotta say, it's been a blast to play through, especially with family and friends. So I'm going to say Super Mario Bros. Wonder for this category. It evolves both subtly and outright. Certain things that you wouldn't think of, but they make such a big difference in the series that I think going forward, this is the new standard for Mario. Best Narrative, we have Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty, Final Fantasy XVI, and Marvel Spider-Man. Now, Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty is a DLC, and to that I raise my eyebrow at the Game Awards nominations. I raise my eyebrows at the, because why is a DLC for a game here when you're just going to ignore Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed? Yes, I am eyeing you for that, good sirs and madams. I am very disappointed that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is not anywhere in this, not even in the player's voice choice of the awards. That being said, I do have to admit, 2077, from what I've seen, from the gameplay I've seen, fantastic iteration. I think this should be in the best game direction category, personally, because I think it's really deserved. I think the level of iteration that they've had to work on the game since its release, and it clearly just shows very well in the DLC. Now, as for Final Fantasy XVI, I do have to be a bit harsh because I didn't quite enjoy the story as much as I thought I would have. Going through it, it is a beautiful game with many tender, many frail moments, and I think that it just ends up playing too much into the gloom and doom, and there's not enough moments of reprieve, at least for me. So I am going to have to throw this one into Baldur's Gate 3's way, because hundreds and hundreds of ways to evolve the way the story plays out, even subtly. It's just, honestly, it's a well done. I think the narrative is very compelling for Baldur's Gate 3. The way that it is often controlled by the player in ways we wouldn't think is just fantastic, and I hope to see more of these games. This is a very clear love letter for D&D trains of thought, and I would love to see more of these coming out in the future. So Baldur's Gate 3. Best Art Direction. So I'm not going to even argue for Tears of the Kingdom. It's the same as Breath of the Wild. The animation and technical qualities of it are fantastic. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, very good animation. I would even like to think the subtle nods that Mario has grown on in this game compared to the previous ones is very nice. Mario feels very well animated. All of his friends feel very well animated. Lies of P, though, caught me by surprise. I asked a few friends about it, and they showed me some bits and bobs of the art style, and I could sort of see why it's here. Hi-Fi Rush, however, is a very stylistic game. It's very clear why this game is here. It's very stylistic. It fits the fantasy well. It fits the action well. It fits what you're doing like beautifully. With all that being said, I probably would have to give this to either Hi-Fi Rush or Super Mario Bros. Wonder. For me, however, I'm going to personally give it to Hi-Fi Rush. Stylistic games of this caliber, of this quality and caliber, are very few and far between, and we need to see much more of them. Best score and music. Final Fantasy 16. You cannot tell me anything otherwise. I've heard Alan Wake 2 has very good sound quality, but we're not going to... We're talking about the scenes and the score overall. So, Hi-Fi Rush. Beautiful game. Beautiful soundtrack. Baldur's Gate 3, I'm on the fence about. I don't think it deserves it. Best Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, come on, you got the Colgera theme, you got a few others that just sort of stick out to me, but really it's all just the same ambience, the same combat music. Come on, it could have been a good bit more. We needed to see a good bit more there. There is one clear game in my mind that does deserve to be here for this category, however, and I will say Octopath Traveler 2, you absolutely deserve to be here, and you would probably still be second place in my heart because Final Fantasy XVI's track is just absolutely insane. Masayoshi Soken, you did phenomenally. I feel that your story cannot be taken out of context within this category and Choice Awards, and it is going to be such a shame if Final Fantasy XVI does not win. But for me, the soundtrack of 16 is absolutely phenomenal. There were multiple tears shed when I was listening through this over and over again, and I still do. The Bahamut theme is just riveting. I cannot think of anything better this year that came out. Octopath Traveler 2, I am so sorry. You do deserve to be nominated 100%, but I will have to give it off to Final Fantasy 16. Best audio design. This is something I have heard ravings about Alan Wake 2 and especially Dead Space, which does show up here. Resident Evil 4 is good. I have seen it. I've listened to it with a headphones on, so I've heard all of the little touches. I've not heard the best things from Spider-Man 2. I don't know. But again, could be bits of bias here and there. Hi-Fi Rush, good things about. But for me, I've seen snippets of Dead Space's soundtrack design, their audio design, the little bits here and there that just play throughout and really add to the atmosphere. I will have to give it off to Dead Space, not even a question. Best performance. I do see a lot of people here that have been casted phenomenally into their roles. I will, however, say, and I'm very sorry to say this, Mr. Idris Elba, I don't think you should win because I feel that many people... Let me rephrase that. If you do win, excellent. But if you win because people are voting solely for your name as being the most recognizable and the celebrity aspect that your name carries, I'll be a bit disappointed. That being said, he did have a great performance. I am ecstatic to see him there in Phantom Liberty's nomination. But for me, it's going to have to go to Ben Starr. I mean, this was a phenomenal performance, his role as Clive in Final Fantasy XVI. The screams in the earliest parts of the footage that we saw in the demo of the game really gripped me. I was so close to going out and purchasing my own PS5 solely to see this performance play out. It is going to go to him without a doubt. Innovation in accessibility. For me personally, I've heard good things about Forza and Street Fighter 6 particularly, especially on the Street Fighter 6 part. From what I've seen, this has been a beautiful game for allowing, plays in all of the features, tech, and content available that they have at their disposal to really allow for players to access the game in ways that previous entries have not. So, for me, Street Fighter 6, congratulations. Best ongoing title: Apex Legends, Cyberpunk, Final Fantasy, Fortnite, Genshin Impact. I know people are going to hate me if I say Genshin Impact, but yeah, you're free to leave the video now if you think that. Genshin Impact does win Best Ongoing for me personally, and I'm going to get into that in just a second. Same thing here with Cyberpunk 2077. Why is Xenoblade Future Redeemed not here? I mean, come on, I get it's not ongoing anymore, but you can't throw a DLC and then call it ongoing. Come on. Apex Legends, I've heard floundering things about that. Fortnite, you know, OG was fun. I'll give it that. OG was very fun to play through with a few friends here and there. I'm enjoying it, but as for best ongoing, it's just going to be between Final Fantasy XIV for their continued progression of such a wonderful entry in the Final Fantasy franchise. The MMO is just continuously thriving. People are doomering about it, but having been in there and playing through it almost daily, I just love everything that just continues to build up for my character, and I'm just enjoying what the game throws at me. But for me, it's going to have to go to Genshin Impact. I mean, never before have I seen such a dedication to the content cadence and release cycle of a game, with many changes, new zones to explore, new bosses, new stories, new events, every 6 weeks so adherently that the only time in their history where they ever had to delay, they were extremely sorry for it. They offered compensation for it in form of the game's currency, Primo Gems, if I remember correctly. Then they additionally went ahead and boosted the cadence afterwards so that instead of a 6-week cycle, 3 patches were actually 5 weeks long, and then they just had more content. We were just going and going, and it was a phenomenal time, and it still is. Genshin Impact truly deserves best ongoing for me. Best community support. This is a very tough one for me. Baldur's Gate 3 has had phenomenal iterations, as have Final Fantasy XIV's feedback system, but also No Man's Sky is there, and you know, I do have to give it to Hello Games. They've really worked the ship around on No Man's Sky, and it just continues to thrive to the point where I want to play at some point. But for this year specifically, I will have to give this one to Larian Studios. Their iteration in response to community feedback and support throughout the development of Baldur's Gate 3 was very nice to see, and I would absolutely love to see this be something going forward, not only for Larian Studios, but I hope that other companies and studios pick up on as well. Best Indie Game. I've heard a lot of conflictions about Dave the Diver, but we'll have to put that one aside because I truly think Sea of Stars was a phenomenal game. From my own personal bias, I would have liked to have seen The Pale Beyond here as well. It was its first indie game for Bellular Studios, but we are working with what we have, and that is going to be Sea of Stars. It is a phenomenal game, a wonderful ode to older generations, very engaging combat, a wonderful world with plenty of tales to tell. This Sea of Stars was just a sheer joy to play through right up till the end. Best debut indie, same thing. Pale Beyond could have been here. Not gonna cut it though. Pizza Tower for me. I've seen it. I've wanted to play it. I do have it in my inventory, and I've just not had the time. But I'm just a sucker for the hand-drawn animations that Pizza Tower has shown. So I'm sorry to everyone else. I'm sure your games are great, but for me, I love Pizza Tower's animations, and that just stole my heart. Best mobile game. I've heard Ever Crisis isn't doing too hot at the moment. Monster Hunter Now only just released, and I've not seen enough people talking about it. Terra Nil, I've not heard of. Hello Kitty Island, I'm sure is a good game, but come on, Honkai Star Rail pushed the boundaries of Hoyoverse's audience. It brought in a lot of people, especially when PS5 released. So many people that I've personally seen diss Genshin and then just fall in love with Honkai Star Rail, and I gotta say, I can see why. I wish more people would go back and give Genshin a chance, but I can see why, and I applaud Star Rail for just everything it innovates on and takes from Genshin Impact to make this wonderful game that truly deserves to be the best mobile game for this year. Best action game. You know, I've even heard people say Final Fantasy XVI should be here, but Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon, you are a beautiful game. I have seen endless bits of footage and gameplay from my friends about this. I wish I was brave enough to run this game, but I'm afraid my computer would probably get set on fire. It was just a joy to see people play through this and share everything they loved about the game. For me, Armored Core 6, you win. Best action adventure, solving puzzles, reaching through all the parts of the story, etc. Tears of the Kingdom, your story is incredibly lackluster, but the adventure you offer cannot be denied. Traversing the depths, even though it's relatively bland, is a bit of a novel experience. Exploring the Great Sky Island was a joy. I truly wish there was more of that in this game, especially up in the sky. Seeing some of the changes in the land was nice, but it's just nice to be back in Hyrule from time to time, even if it's not a truly novel experience. Just seeing what's changed, seeing the new bits and bobs out there, it was nice. I will have to give this one to Tears of the Kingdom from my own playthrough. Best RPG: Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, Lies of P, Sea of Stars, Starfield, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, maybe? A bit of a close one. I am glad to see Sea of Stars here. I'm not sure why Starfield's here, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that, but, I mean, Starfield, come on, it's a 50-50 even amongst its own community. Lies of P, I am ecstatic to give my own shot at soon, but I'm sorry I cannot faithfully compare it to the other fantastic titles here. Final Fantasy 16, Baldur's Gate 3, and again, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Maybe a bit of Octopath Traveler if it could have gotten in, but we'll see. I don't think 16 deserves Best RPG. I'm sorry, it does not offer great customization. I have seen the weapons upgrade system. Combat, yes, you can customize combat very nicely, might I add. Baldur's Gate 3 is going to have to win. It offers a ginormous, extreme amount of customization, extreme amount of progression. It is a phenomenal game with a lot of player choice taken to heart. It truly holds up to the Dungeons & Dragons category that it aspires to portray. Best fighting game: Nickelodeon Star Brawl 2. No, Street Fighter 6. I mean, come on, it's not even a question. Mortal Kombat 1 probably could have had it, but the Switch scenes have taken it so far down for me. God of Rock, what is that? Pocket Bravery, I'm sure it's probably a good game, but not one I've heard of. All-Star Brawl 2 has been funky to see the new characters and changes, but come on, it's a gag game, let's be honest. Street Fighter 6, you win, undoubtedly. Best family game. This one goes to Super Mario Bros. Wonder for me. I've heard phenomenal things about Pikmin 4. I've seen the gameplay aspects of it, but Super Mario Bros. Wonder just wins it for me. Playing through the game with my fiance has just been an absolute blast. I really feel that we're having a bunch of fun together. What we do together, the shenanigans that happen as we play through the game, it's just really enjoyable, and for me, it will win Best Family. Best Sim Strategy. These ones have some good ones. Advance Wars 1, 2 came out a bit too late. It lost out on a lot of the pop and pizzazz when it was originally announced, unfortunately. Fire Emblem Engage, however, will win it for me. I've heard phenomenal things about Pikmin 4, don't get me wrong, but come on, Engage is a true homage to the whole of the series, even if it does have a bit of a cheesy story for my liking, which I do love cheesy stories, but it's a little bit too much cheese, if you know what I'm saying. If you play through the game, I'm sure you'll know what I mean. But gameplay-wise, phenomenal, absolutely exquisite gameplay. It's true to the series. It takes the best out of it. It's really customizable, really enjoyable. I loved every second playing through it. And this is what's going to win for me. Best Multiplayer for outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences. Mario Bros. Wonder, as I've said, phenomenal to play with friends. Street Fighter 6, I've seen some mixed things about the online community, but overall pretty enjoyable. Diablo 4, I'm sorry, not going to take it from me. Party Animals was fun to watch other people's playthroughs of. It's definitely a very good Twitch streamer game. Baldur's Gate 3, it's very fun, but it also suffers from the D&D aspect of people needing a lot of time to make their choices, and then sessions just take too long. It's honestly a bit of a mix for me personally. I'm gonna have to go for Wonder. I can see why people would pick 3 and Baldur's Gate 3, and that's probably my second pick. But for me, this is another Mario Wonder win for me. Best Adaptation for creative works faithfully, authentically adapting video games to the entertainment medium. Castlevania Nocturne, I've heard good things on. Gran Turismo I've not seen, as well as Twisted Metal, which just really pairs up The Last of Us between Super Mario Bros. Movie, and for me, you guys can definitely tell there's a bit of Mario/Nintendo favoritism. It's, yeah, There definitely is, but I mean, come on. Mario is the most recognizable video game character in the world. That is without a doubt. I've seen great ravings about the series for The Last of Us, but it's just that recognizability factor that I think the judges for the Game Awards are really just going to go up and click on Super Mario Bros. Movie. Even if it's not the best movie out there, it's very cliche, it's very rushed. It plays on the nostalgia factor. With all of that said, I still think it's going to win, even over The Last of Us, which, again, I've just heard good things about, but people are going to be talking about the Mario movie for a long time, in my opinion. I don't think we're going to hear enough people talking about The Last of Us in the time to come. Most anticipated game. This is very hard for me. I could definitely see Final Fantasy VII Rebirth taking it, but Hades 2, for me, I've loved Hades, the original Hades. I love every game that comes out of Supergiant so very dearly. I can definitely see Hades 2 taking a clear shot, but maybe not quite winning this category. For me, however, I'm going to support it. Hades 2, let's see some more. Everything else is relatively content creator or esports related, which I'm not too particularly interested in, nor am I interested in the sports categories. Therefore, let's go on to the player's voice, which just came out. We have 3 rounds, so we can very clearly see everyone that's nominated. Again, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed. Why are you not here? Come on, it should be. But let's go on and see what we have. Octopath Traveler 2, baby! Which I know is ranked 16th as of recording this, so it hurts my soul, but I hope can at least make it to one more round. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to really support my Octopath Traveler fans here. I know it's such a niche game for comparison to the rest of the gaming genres that are here, the rest of the titles that are representing itself. I think that some of these are already overrepresented enough, and I know for sure Baldur's Gate 3 is #1 by a considerable margin, and other games need to shine in this. It really does. I cannot say enough good things about Octopath Traveler 2. I really hope more people give it a shot. We have 10 more to vote for. Let's see what we can think of. Armored Core 6, you definitely deserve a little bit more time in the sun, in my opinion. Destiny 2, Diablo 4, Genshin Impact, sure, why not? More Primo gems for me. I will gladly say yes to that. Hi-Fi Rush, you were a gem, an absolute gem, coming out the same time as Forspoken and knocking it out of the park. You deserve this, my friend. Honkai Star Rail, you've been a joy to see other people really take an interest in Hoyo vs. series, and even people who don't love gacha have had good things to say about it. So yes, you deserve to also go up for me. Minecraft, Mortal Kombat 1, No Man's Sky, Resident Evil 4, Remake, yada yada yada. I might come back to No Man's Sky, we'll see. Mario Bros. Wonder, Street Fighter 6, absolutely. Lies of P, we will place you back. Let us absolutely place you back here. Final Fantasy 16, we have 1 vote left. I'm not quite sure what to go for, so I really love what I see out of No Man's Sky. I really do. I'm going to give it a shot at some point. I can already tell. I'm going to give it to them. That is our 10 votes for round 1. Really, some good games all around. So we have about 1 day till the next round. I'm not going to be streaming that. This was just for my general nominations. So let me know what you think. Unfortunately, I will not be around to watch the Game Awards live. I'm going on vacation for about a week, and the Game Awards is actually when I first arrive for my vacation, so I'm gonna unfortunately miss it live. I will be looking at the nominations and awards themselves, and I'll be looking very keenly for any announcements. But that's where I'm gonna love you and leave you all for today. I know it's a bit of a long video, and I just hope you enjoy. Let me know what you want to discuss down below. We have more content coming, and I hope by the new year we will be back in full swing as I've moved into my home. Content can begin again. I really hope so. And yeah, I'm going to love you and leave you here. So thank you all very much for joining, and as always, have a great day.